Welcome to Probably Offensive. I am your host, Anthony Scott Dover, and we are going to start the show with an update, your COVID-19 update. So far, we are up to 3.7 million cases been reported. This information comes to us by way of Johns Hopkins Medical Center. All the hospitals in the country report their COVID cases and deaths of coronavirus to Johns Hopkins Medical Center. And they give that information to the media outlets, major media outlets, CBS, NBC, news divisions, ABC, Fox, CNN. They all get this information from Johns Hopkins, so that's where the count comes from. As you may have heard, the President of the United States has directed the CDC to no longer broadcast this information and to give the information that they receive on the cases and deaths of coronavirus straight to the White House. So the president is obsessed and convinced that this information is hurting him, that when people know how many cases of coronavirus have spread across the United States, that's hurts his political chances to be reelected. So that's not going to make a difference because, as I said, Johns Hopkins keeps track of all this information, and they divulge this information to major news media outlets. So you'll still be able to know. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, this information is not real. They have overblown the number of people who have died from coronavirus. They've tested almost 50 million people, 45 million so far. More testing every day, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. But the point that I've made before is that the numbers only go up when the tests come back positive. So it's not the testing. The president said in an interview that it's because of the testing. He said this several times, though. This wasn't just this interview that he had with Chris Wallace from Fox News. That we're testing. We're number one in testing. We're testing. If it wasn't so many tests, we wouldn't have so many cases, which is totally wrong, because if we didn't have so many tests, Mr. President, we'd still have all the people with coronavirus that have coronavirus. We just wouldn't know about it without the test. Without the test, we wouldn't know. So he makes it sound like it's the test that's the problem. No, Mr. Problem. Mr. President, you're the problem, my boy. You're the problem, Junior. If you weren't so dishonest and deceiving, there wouldn't be a problem. If you had have done more than just the travel ban that you brag about all the time, and I don't understand why you brag about something that didn't work. The travel ban, you still let in 40,000 people. That's a lot. In my book, that's a lot. If someone told me, hey, you're going to make $40,000 more on top of whatever you make now a year, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be like, hell yes, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I'll take that. So 40,000 more people came in after that travel ban was issued on China. And if you've done anything else besides that, we might not be here. Blaming the test for the fact that there's almost 4 million cases of coronavirus in the man, I cannot talk today. It's worse than any other day. Almost 4,000 recorded cases. There's actually probably way more than 4 million, not 4,000, but it's 3.7 million right now as of today. July 19th is today, Sunday. There's really a lot more than 4 million. It's 3.7 according to John Hopkins. That hospitals, testing centers, medical centers have reported. But there's 360 million people in the U.S. And so we've tested 40 million, just over 40 million people so far. We need 200 million more people to be tested, to be honest with you, to know exactly where those numbers are. So there's a lot of people who have gotten over the coronavirus. We don't even know how many people that is. So we're way off base with the accuracy, and the president complaining about the test. It's the test. No, it's not. It's you, jackass. It's your response that's the problem, not the test. The test only tells you if someone is positive or negative. That's all it tells you. Don't blame the test. Look in the mirror. You wanted to be president. Be president. Handle business that presidents handle, and stop whining about the deep state and all this nonsense. Okay? Stop making excuses. Take responsibility, please. The president had an interview with Chris Wallace, as I mentioned. Chris Wallace, the Fox News host, interviewed the president, and that interview was on this morning. I have not seen the whole interview, the entire interview. I have not seen. I've seen clips from the interview, and one thing that I've noticed, and I'm not just noticing it from this interview with Chris Wallace, but there's one thing I've noticed is that the president really hates being called out when he gives misinformation. When he says something that is wrong or is just a flat out lie, he absolutely hates when reporters call him out, when they correct him on something. Then he sometimes just tells them they're fake news. You're fake news. No, if it's true, Mr. President, it's not fake news. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's fake news. So that interview was today. I've seen clips from it. The president being interviewed by Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace is not one of those news host on Fox that kisses the president's butt. He's got several of those. I mean, Laura Ingraham tosses his salad, and Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson. Speaking of which, Tucker Carlson fired a writer for or he didn't fire him, but Fox insisted that one of the writers on Tucker Carlson's show be fired because of racist remarks that he made. He's been investigated for being a white supremacist, and now he's been fired. So, if you watch Fox News, which I don't, I watch it every now and then just to see what they're saying, just to see what kind of nonsense is flying out of the mouths of jackasses on Fox News. I turn to it and see, because I just want to be up on what it is they're saying. You can't really criticize what they're saying if you don't know what they're saying. So I turn to Fox News every now and then just to see what the nonsense is. And I've seen clips of a lot of Fox hosts, but mainly Sean Hannity, talking about how, and this was in the past, it's not recent, Hannity was talking about how great Florida and Texas had done with the coronavirus back when they left their states open when everyone else was shut down. And he was remarking how, oh, Texas has done a great job. Everything is doing very well in Texas. And Florida, they are doing very well, and their governor, he's a wonderful man. He was really lathering them up, man, with his tongue. He was kissing their butts royally back before they become a red state. And by red state, I don't mean they're Republican states. I mean, because I think they both are, the governors both are Republican governors, but they were kissing the president's butt. And he was heaping praise on them the way they were handling the pandemic. But both Texas and Florida, their coronavirus cases and deaths have spiked to an all-time high. And now neither one of those governors can say anything. They're just sitting there looking dumb. Everybody, including the president, but more these Fox News hosts who said all this dumb shit about Texas and Florida and how great of a job they were doing with the coronavirus and how they are showing the rest of America how to handle this virus. Now these two states their hospitals are overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with patients with coronavirus. I mean, they are bursting with cases. They're setting records, actually, with the cases that they have in Florida and Texas. All because these dumbass governors playing politics with this issue instead of doing what needed to be done. And that is listen to doctors, listen to scientists, and do whatever you can to slow the spread of coronavirus. I understand that you want to toss the president's salad, but he's not a medical professional. The man's not even smart on any level, actually. And he certainly doesn't know more about